So today we're going to be talking about a weapon that can make you a top 1% player in Destiny 2 PvP. And this is an oldie but a goodie, and that is the Ace of Spades. So this weapon I've been watching recently as it slowly climbed the list of most used weapons of Trials of Osiris and just running into it more in the Crucible overall. And I was just wondering, like, what is it about this weapon that people are using so much? Why would you take off conditional finality? Why would you not be using igneous? Things of that nature were crossing my mind. And after reusing it, getting back to it after a very long time of not using my Ace of Spades, I can kind of see why people are using this weapon so much and how it can be helpful for a lot of players who are trying to get better in Destiny 2 PvP. And I actually think Ace of Spades is going to be even more meta, if you can even believe that, next season. And we're going to talk about why. So talking about the Ace of Spades, it has got a lot going for it. And before we get into that, I really want to talk about why I think it's going to be meta next season. And I think it has a lot to do with, you're going to see, in my opinion, you're going to see a reduction in the use of conditional finality next season. I think it's still going to be top of the charts in terms of use, but I think it is going to see a decrease due to the nerfs that are coming to Well of Radiance and Bubble. And I think it's just not going to be as necessary. So what's that going to do? It's going to free up that exotic slot in the kinetic slot for weapons like Thorn, weapons like Ace of Spades. A lot of people like using these weapons, but have not been using them as of late because they feel disadvantaged in modes like Trials, even Comp, where you're playing Bubbles and Wells and those supers regen so fast and you need something to counter it. And really right now, the only hard counter is conditional finality. So once you see those nerfs, that's why I think you're gonna see things like Ace of Spades and Thorn see a little bit more use. But I think Ace of Spades is really gonna be a top charter once those nerfs come to effect next season and once people are done playing with all the new weapons that come out in the final shape. Now, a couple of reasons why that would be. Already right now, Ace of Spades can safely challenge 120 RPM hand cannons due to it being a 140, so it has that rate of fire differential going for it, as well as for whatever reason, I don't know what it is about Ace of Spades, but it just hits like a truck. It deals a lot of flinch, even with the nerfs to overall primary flinch from hand cannons on other weapons. Ace of Spades still hits different. I don't know if it's because that's high caliber rounds or what, but it definitely hits different than other hand cannons. Now, the other thing it has going for it is the forgiveness due to the perk Memento Mori. With Memento Mori, after reloading after a kill, gives you a few extra damage bullets. These extra damage bullets really increase the forgiveness of Ace of Spades. Once you have Memento Mori active, whether you're tier 10 resilience through tier 5, you're going to be looking at 2 head, 1 body. Tier 4 and under, and that's a lot of players, you're looking at 1 head, 2 body. So it just really makes Ace of Spades that much more forgiving. And again, I think for someone who's trying to rapidly improve in PvP, Ace of Spades and that forgiveness you get from Memento Mori is going to really help out. Just in playing Trials and in some of these clips you're going to be seeing, once I was proccing Memento Mori, it allowed me to play hyper aggressive and absolutely demolish some of these players using Igneous Hammer, which in my opinion, I think is still probably the best, if not one of the best hand cannons, or at least I thought it was until I was using my Ace of Spades. And even with them sometimes getting the first shot, because I have that higher RPM and the damage and forgiveness of Memento Mori, it really allowed me to challenge those 120 users and kind of flip the script on them really quickly in the same engagement without even needing to take cover because of those things I just mentioned. Now, another huge benefit of Ace of Spades, again for players that are looking to improve, or even if you're a really skilled player, is the always on radar of Memento Mori. Having that always on radar, I think, is hugely beneficial because it allows you to just ADS down sights with keeping your radar up. Because you have that now, your awareness goes to a whole nother level. You're not going to get caught getting flanked or a shotgun rusher sneaking up on you or someone with SMG. Any one of those things are going to be a lot harder to do now because you have your radar always up. So when you have your radar always up, that just increases overall awareness. And I think it's something that a lot of players, skilled and not, struggle with so often, especially in this meta where pulses, 120 hand cannons, kind of sitting back and playing a lane can be more prevalent. They get caught off guard a lot. And using Ace of Spades, I was able to get a lot of flanks a lot more effectively because of the fact that my radar was always up. I always kind of knew where the team was at. I didn't have to constantly scope and descope and then get caught in a bad position, like in the middle of a descope and all of a sudden getting shot. because I was trying to check my radar. So I think that is hugely beneficial for people who are struggling with that awareness. They feel like they're constantly being caught off guard, constantly being flanked, things like that, especially on maps like Dissonance where there's so many different angles. Maps with a lot of angles, this all becomes even more important. And so I think that's why Ace of Spades really is going to excel the more people want to revisit it. I think a lot of people ignore Ace of Spades because it is just this weapon that's been around forever, and I think kind of write it off. There's all these shiny, newer, quote unquote, better weapons out there, but I think Ace of Spades really is a staple and should be a staple for a lot of players who are actively looking to improve or make the most out of their abilities with this weapon. So overall, I think a lot of people, including myself, have been sleeping on this weapon, and it seems week by week, more and more people are waking up to the fact that Ace of Spades is definitely a top tier hand cannon, and it actually probably always has been. I think the shine on some of these other weapons is just starting to wear off. So I would really recommend revisit the Ace of Spades, especially going in the next season. I think going in the next season, this weapon is going to be at the top of the meta. It would not surprise me when it comes to hand cannons, as more and more of that shine wears off. You also have artifact mods like Flint Striker, which I think makes some of the solar hand cannons very appealing going away. I think all those things combined, the nerfs to Well and Bubble, conditional finality being just slightly less popular because of those things, and opening up the meta to other weapons will all help Ace of Spades rise to the top of the meta. And I think for anyone looking to improve and get into that top 1% of PvP players, the Ace of Spades is really going to be a great go-to weapon for you, because it's really just has overall great ease of use, especially with Memento Mori, can challenge those hand cannons, especially those 120s at range, and you get that always on radar to really help with any lack of awareness you might still be working on or struggling with, or you just don't want to have to worry about and be able to focus your mental energy on these other things. But let me know in the comments below, when was the last time you tried Ace of Spades? And if you haven't, try it again and let me know what you think down below.